Networking sucks. Very few people really like doing it because it's always so awkward. And I hated networking. When I was going to university, I remember going to networking events and just being like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say. And I was not good at it. I was not good at meeting people. I was not good at getting into conversations or getting out of conversations. And so in this video, I want to share with you the super simple, easy strategy that I use to not only develop my networking skills, but from the first time I did it, meeting almost everyone in the room right off the bat. The reasons why so many people hate networking is A, you don't really know how to approach. It's almost like, picking up. You don't really know how to approach people. And then here's the other part. Once you do approach someone, you sort of end up spending most of your time with the initial person you started talking to. So you might go to a networking event and like start up a conversation with one person and end up spending most of your time in the 2 or 3 hours that you're there just talking to that one or two people that you initially did. So it's kind of a failure because you're there to meet lots of people. And that's what happened to me. And by the way, if you have a networking event, if you're trying to organize a networking event, here's a huge pet peeve that no one will tell you that I'm going to tell you right now. It's your job to get us interacting, not the venue and not the bars. See, most people, when they do a networking event, they just have a space and they're like, hey, drinks, go network. And then they say really dumb stuff like, we create a great environment for networking. We're an open group. No, you're not. You're a bar night. Because what have you done to encourage interaction? Nothing. And here's the thing, it's not just you, networking event organizer person, it's every conference organizer. We rely on alcohol and a space to facilitate networking. And every time I am asked to do at conferences and I bring this up, the response I always get is, oh, but our group is really good. Actually, people really interact with one another. And I go to the networking event and they're all exactly the same. And every time I talk to people and I suggest, wouldn't it be good if they kind of did something to encourage us to meet one another? You know what answer I get? Oh my God, yes, I would love that. It's so awkward meeting people. I would love if there was like a facilitation or something. So why don't we do that? Why don't you create excuses for people to meet one another? And if that's you, and you want to see a video about how you can make small, easy, facilitated networking events, like little games, activities that encourage people to meet everyone else in the room, comment below and I'll make a video about it if I get enough comments. But back to the topic at hand. How can we get better at networking? Maybe we're introverted, maybe we're shy, maybe we're just a normal person and we just don't feel comfortable walking up to strangers, even though we know that's why everyone else is there. What is this game-changing strategy that I use? Well, here it is. Don't attend networking events. Volunteer at them. You see, when I was in university, I realized it was super important to try and go to these information sessions with companies. But I was terrible at actually going up and approaching like the four people that were there from McKinsey or from whatever company. Also, there was 50 other people in the room that were trying to approach them. So it was very difficult. So what I did instead is I would write whoever was organizing it, usually the career center or one of the student groups. And I said, hey, do you need someone to do registration, to do the code check, to help clean up, to help set up? I'd be happy to volunteer. This had several unbelievably impactful outcomes. The first thing that happened is it built my network by getting to know the other people who were organizing things. So, for example, if I was going to volunteer at some sort of info session for a company and I started meeting people from that company and building my network with people who were tons of professionals. And then here's the other benefit. Another advantage to volunteering at events is it gives you like VIP access, not just to the event, but to all of the VIPs. Let me give you an example. Everyone else who was organizing that, I connected with because now I was helping out. So those people who are usually very keen go-getters started becoming part of my network. Sometimes when I volunteered at those events, I would be responsible for, as I got better with it, connecting with the people from whatever company that are coming. So right away, I was on a whole different level of connection with The people who had the power, the people who were doing the info session, the people who were there from that company. Maybe it was the company you wanted to work for, you were interested in, maybe not, but it was only one company. Because I volunteered at that event, I had been in email exchanges with almost every company. So by the time the event happened, I would be like, "Hey, it's Yvonne. Remember we talked on email? Oh my God, that's great." I had a more personal relationship with every single VIP there. And in fact, that carried on afterward because I would send follow up emails. It was great meeting you. And so from that, I got several interviews from a bunch of those companies because we were at a whole other level. And then when the interview came, because we had a previously established relationship, I would say, "Hey, I'm going for this interview at Ernst& Young. Are you going to be around that day?" And sometimes they would drop by and say hi, or they say, "Hey, come and say hi afterward, come and say hi before." And so right away, I had this whole other level of interaction. Funny enough, here's a really awesome little thing that happened. In my last year of university, I volunteered for this awards luncheon. And it was essentially a way to get companies in front of students. So what would happen is a company like McKinsey or Ernst& Young or the TSX group or what have you would essentially buy a table. And one or two of the representatives would sit with like 7 or 8 students. And over the course of that lunch, you would have opportunities to really connect with those 7 or 8 students. Now, if you had attended that event, you might have met one company. At that event, they were actually recognizing Aldo, as in Aldo shoes, like Aldo himself. And he came with his 2 sons, and the sons run the company now. The cool part was I got to meet Aldo and the 2 sons because we had been exchanging information. "Hey, please show up at this time." I walked them to their table and I got their cards. Now, nothing came of it, but it was still awesome because I got VIP access, whereas everyone else in the room who didn't volunteer for the event just got to watch. I got a conversation. So I remember, a few years after I graduated university and I was in between jobs, and I went on like a website like meetup.com and I signed up for this networking event and I wrote the person saying, "Hey, could I volunteer to do the code check or to maybe like do the front desk or something? I'm a little bit shy. I really want to attend. I'm happy to pay or whatever, but I just really love to have some sort of role." I did that with a bunch of events and some of them replied back and said, "Sure, we would love the help." Some of them said, "No, we're okay. Thank you so much, but please come anyway." For the people that said, "Yeah, sure, we'd love to help," I remember being at one event and I worked the code check. And because people came, dropped off their jackets, and left, I met like 80% of the room. B, if there was a lineup, you know, it was very fast interactions. But as people started trickling in more than lining up, I had little quality moments with almost everyone. And I started being like, "Oh, I like your jacket. Oh, this cool jacket. Oh, is it cold outside?" And I'd have these nice little play conversations, but then they would go away. And so, like, my social energy didn't get depleted with one person. And I get to recharge it because there were many moments where there was no one dropping off a jacket and I could just chill and be antisocial. Then the same thing happened at the end of the night. In between, I would go out into the crowd, and you know what would happen? I had already broken the ice with people. So, walking through the crowd, it'd be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? How's everything going? Oh, good, cool." And because I was always walking towards somewhere, and I always, kind of made it look like I was going somewhere, I could have micro interactions yet again. Another time, I worked front desk. So I was at a networking event and they were just checking people in and giving them name tags. And it was fantastic because people would come in and I'd say, "What's your name?" "Oh, how are you?" And we'd have a little polite conversation about names or where they're from, etc. And then the same thing happened after the event, started getting going. I might work the reception desk for a little while and then I'd get up and walk around, go to the bathroom, go and get a drink. As I was doing that, because I had already met everyone, it was very easy to go in and out of conversation. It is such a powerful yet easy technique that I still do it to this day. Even though, I am pretty good at networking and I am pretty good at going up to strangers. I've developed that skill over years. I make it easy on myself. Every time I go to a networking event, I ask, "Hey, do you need someone to help you with A, B, C, or D?" Or, and this goes back to my previous point, I say, "Hey, do you need someone to run a little 5-minute icebreaker?" I'm really good at those things. So to recap, don't just attend networking events, volunteer at them. Try it out and let me know what happens in the comments down below. I would love to hear your success stories. Don't forget to like and follow this channel. if you found some value in this video. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.